I was born in Hartford, Connecticut, fourth generation in Hartford Hospital on my mom's side. Um, I have my great-grandfather's license plate, HHHH, in Connecticut. It's the Honorable Horace Hubbard Hills. He's buried in the same cemetery in Hartford as the Hepburns, I believe. Uh, my other grandparents from Connecticut were the Spencers, and they're buried in Rocky Hill, on Elm Street. And that's the side of the family that I associate with because that's what I know. My mom's side, I spent time with my great-grandmother, or my grandmother, Elsie Hills. She used to live in very at the end of Ridge Road, just on the Weathersfield-Hartford line, at a nursing home. And I can remember when I was small going to the smell of the nursing home and going to visit her. And I can't remember seeing her, but I can remember her bed. And then my grandmother was hugely influential in my life when my parents got divorced. I don't remember most of the first 8 years of my life. My parents got divorced, I think, when I was 8. And I really have very few memories of that. I remember living across the street. I remember my dad could hit a wiffle ball bat over the neighbor's house. I hit a wiffle ball with a wiffle ball bat over the neighbor's house. I remember we had a small garden. The man next door was our Mr. Bankston. He was our crosswalk. And the guy on the other side of him was a beekeeper. And on Halloween, he'd give us a jar of honey. And also our flowers grew well. I had up and down childhood for the most part. I had frontal lobe trauma, I think, to my forehead when I was 18 months old. My mom said it took a plastic surgeon and 120 stitches to put my nose back on my face. I can remember jumping off the back of the couch onto the couch, and this is when couches had actual springs, and I remember nothing after that really. But the scar I've had since I was 18 months old. I have a cast that's this big that was from my toe to my hip because I broke my legs right around the same time. And right before my mom died, I said, "Mom, did I crawl the length of the house crying when I broke my leg?" And she goes, "Well, yeah, I just thought you were crying again." And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "Mom, my leg was broke." My mom, I don't know what her child was like, but my grandparents were amazing people, the ones on that side. And I knew them growing up when I was smaller. They both died in the 80s. My grandmother died in 1980, or early 90s, I guess. My grandmother died in 1989. My grandfather's birthday, actually. And then the bag that I have with me, the LL Bean one, I got that for Christmas from her 3 weeks later, I guess. And I had gotten a Discman, and I was sitting there on New Year's Eve at my dad's friend's house and their neighbor's house, and I was supposed to go sledding with my friends, and they showed up in shirt and tie. My dad got mad, started yelling at me. I walked out of his girlfriend's house, his neighbor's house. I walked home. I grabbed that bag. I grabbed my CD player, I think 2 pairs of socks, and I left. And I didn't care.
How old were you?
16.
Where'd you go?
The Olympia Diner. Well, first I went sledding, and hung out in the ball dropped, whatever. And then I ended up the next morning. I don't know, it was that night. Next morning, I think that night I realized, I don't have any friends that I can knock on their door in the middle of the night. So I went to my friend Matt's house and slept on his front step, and it was ice, freezing rain. So there was a little overhang, but it was cold, and I slept there. And when I heard his alarm clock go off, I knocked on his door, and his mom was super nice. I couldn't stay there. I had friends like that. So I ended up at the Olympia Diner on the Roland Turnpike, and I lived there. I don't know, I would just order food every couple hours, and they would let me kind of stay, and then I'd go to school in the morning somehow, and I would probably sleep through class, and I'd go to work. I worked at Heartland Drug on the Roland Turnpike, which is now like where Best Buy is. And then I just kept doing that until my friend Shelby Zimmerman, who apparently I think was my first kiss, I guess, that I remember. We supposedly kissed in a sandbox. She was cute, little blonde girl. Her name's Shelby Irwin, I think now. She's got some kids, and she lives in Haddam, Connecticut, or East Haddam. And she said, "Well, come on, Dad said you can come stay with us." So I stayed with him, and he's a nice man. He was Jewish, and he had when I was younger, he had a catering business, I guess. And all I can remember when I was younger, my mom used to bring us. We used to go to preschool together, and we would drop off. We did carpooling or something, and he made, I don't know, it was potato chips or French fries from scratch. And I was like, these are amazing. And but anyway, she ended up moving to Florida, and then moving back when we were in high school. So we reconnected. She was actually the manager of the gymnastics team, which my dad coached. My dad's whole life, pretty much in my head, was sports and being a dad.
Sorry to interrupt, but during this time, you're out of the house, and are you?
My dad said, if you walk out that door, you can never come back. And that was it. And my mom's house wasn't safe to go to, so I just lived on the street. And what I really wish I had done in 1989 was get on the bus and go to my grandfather's house. Because I didn't know him that well, and I wish I did. He was a great man. When I was a kid, he would walk around he had a garage in the back of the garage. He had a house on Cape Cod, which he apparently defended during World War II. And anyway, he bought it. I guess my mom's uncle or something found the lot. So anyway, so we were blessed. We got to spend childhood time up there, and he'd be cutting these things. He used to try to make those train whistles, the wooden ones, like hours and hours. He'd have the Red Sox on, and my grandmother would be watching soap operas, and she'd get up, and we'd have donuts, and then we'd look at the newspaper, and then we'd have breakfast.
That's an amazing memory.
We would sit, look at the newspaper, and figure out exactly how many tax sales we were going to go to, and that's why she had a Volkswagen Beetle. You can't bring a lot of furniture home in a Beetle. But he had a truck, I imagine, just in case. But
well, I'm curious. You said I couldn't go to my mom's house; it wasn't safe.
It wasn't safe there.
What does that mean?
Her second husband and her were not making good choices. When I got there was a lock on the door, on the rotary phone. I ended up actually moving there eventually, and I got into drugs and alcohol and all these things I had no interest in. And I had tried drugs actually at my mom's house in Rocky Hill when I was in second grade. Some kids from Glastonbury actually came over with a joint, and I tried one. And then when my mom moved out of that apartment in Rocky Hill, we were helping her. I have two memories of that place. Well, multiple. I remember my grandmother Elsie Hill's funeral. She wouldn't let me go. She said, "You gotta stay home with the kids." And I didn't want to, but I did. And then I guess I was the oldest, or no, well, my brother's the oldest, but anyway, she made me stay home with the kids, and I don't know where he was at that time, but one time he was so upset with his life that he crawled up on top of the roof and cried and waited for the fire department to come help him. My grandfather worked for the fire department in that town. Another time we lit the oven on fire by baking cookies, peanut butter cookies, and the fire department came and put the oven out. Another time we were throwing match heads at each other and the field caught on fire. The fire department came and put that out too. But I remember that that apartment, I got mad at my mom one day and I slammed the bifold door. My finger still looks like a drumstick because of it. I got my first stitches. They said, "Well, we can give you Novocaine. We got to stick the needle in the cut." I said, "Well, just give me a lollipop then." And I watched them stitch it up. And that was anger. And this one over here, I got angry again because of my life. And I sat out in the woods for a year playing drums, smoking pot, doing whatever seemed unnatural because I couldn't be with my kid. But yeah, my mom's house wasn't a safe place for me. So, she didn't make good choices, and I didn't make good choices when I was there, either because me and my brother just walked out the door, or we weren't supervised, or whatever reason. I just did whatever I wanted to do, or whatever I thought I had to do. And this gentleman, Lester Noel, he's dead now, so I don't mind sharing this, but we got in an argument. She dated, I think, 2 or 3 men in that apartment. Steve Tosia was the first one. Lester Noel was the second one. Well, Lester Noel and I got in an argument. And I went to walk out the door, as they tell you in 3rd or 4th grade, whatever it was, just walk away. Well, the gentleman took his foot and connected to the door, connected to my head, to connect to the other side of the door. It was not safe at my mom's house. Even when I got angry, I hurt myself, not other people, typically.
Eventually, you got out of the situation.
So, well, my mom's dead now. And I'm still here homeless. Partially, in part, I think, because of the choices my mom made for me. One day my mom was... I also remember watching the Celtics and the Lakers. And you know why they had different color uniforms back then? Because on a black and white TV this big, you had to know which side was which, because the black guy could be Parrish, it could be the other guy. But it's true. That's what the Celtics were. Everybody was white except for Parrish, right?
Yeah.
But it was great basketball.
You were watching Larry Bird back then and all those guys.
McHale, Ainge,
Magic Johnson was
Parrish.
playing, yeah, Kareem, yeah.
I don't think I saw too much of Wilt Chamberlain, but
Yeah.
Conan I saw him. He's huge, right? But anyway, so that apartment, we lived in Rocky Hill. There's bad things that happened there that I wasn't happy about, and but my mom, she broke up with one of her boyfriends. I think it was the guy that she left my dad for. I don't know the truth on that, but that's what I think. She was laying in bed and I watched her cry for 3 days. She used to be on a prescription to drink a milkshake a day because she was less than 80 pounds. She's about my height. And I watched her lay in that bed and cry. And then I looked in her jewelry box and she had marijuana roaches. She goes, oh, those aren't mine. Those are somebody else's. Well, I ended up moving to Glastonbury with her. And it's funny because Glastonbury, Steve Tosi was a real estate agent that she broke up with after she dated. Anyway, she lived a couple different places. She lived with this guy, Eugene Burrill, who I think beat up my dad because my dad hit my brother, because my brother hit me, because my mom wasn't there again. Which actually could be my fault, or it could be, no, I don't want to wrestle. You're a foot tall and you outweigh me by 60 pounds. I don't want to wrestle, big brother. But one day I got him. He used to wrestle me and pin me and I'd be like, ah! And then he'd grab something and he'd run. And our door looked like the Bugs Bunny commercial, right? Our cartoon with the stuff stuck in the door as he shuts the door. Well, one day I was sitting in the room and he's watching TV. I picked up the shovel from the fireplace. We had the brands, shovels and stuff. I went, bang! And I meant to hit the couch, but he was longer than I thought, so I hit his foot. I said, no, I don't want to wrestle. And we didn't wrestle anymore. Big brother one day decided he wanted to have a knife fight in the kitchen. I said, okay. That was a new one. Well, he had this hunk of metal that he tried to make into a knife. My friend Mark, actually Zimmerman, sold Cutco knives. And my dad bought some. I said, all right. And he lunged, and I disarmed him. I didn't mean to actually hit him, but again, he almost lost his finger that day. I'm not a violent person, but I will defend myself. And unfortunately, one day my mom in Glastonbury, right around the time I moved in with her, was not in control of me again and decided to smack me in the face. And my reaction after being traumatized for years, apparently, was to punch her. And I didn't even realize or remember that she was pregnant. And she lost that child with her husband, John Chapley, who actually moved out here and has a daughter here somewhere. It's 24, 25, or was when he got hit by a car in Independence, Oregon in 2014. And I don't know her, but one of the reasons I'm still here is possibly to maybe see if she wants to know me. Because somehow we're connected. We have a sibling in the great beyond, right? Great hunting grounds, or, Tartarus, or... Anyway.
What's going on in your 20s?
My 20s, I spent... I had my son at 18. Me and his mom... I took my mom's car one day to go to the beach with this kid, Mark Funderburg, and this girl, Heather. My mom realized I didn't even know when she was coming home. So I just took her car to go to the beach. Well, and Melanie, actually, she had let Melanie and I drive up to the beach with her, up to Cape Cod one time when she was dating this guy, Mark, who was like half her age. John Chapley, her husband, 24. His brain wasn't even fully developed because it doesn't until 26. When they got married, now it's 14, 10 years between us. Anyway, so we took her car. She called the police. We were at the Sunoco station where Mark worked. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, Melanie doesn't have a place to stay because we got kicked out for stealing the car. Well, I didn't have my license, so I had Melanie drive, so I didn't get in trouble. But she didn't press charges. Well, Mark one night goes, look, I got to bring my car back home. My mom said I have to, so we're going to go steal this car. So we go and steal this minivan, Dodge Caravan. So we do, and we drive it around. We go to hang out with some of Melanie's friends, Sharps or whatever, and Ed and Eddie and all these idiots in Meriden. And then we go and drop it at the state forest. And Mark's like, bye. And Melanie's like, bye. And no, Melanie wasn't bye. Melanie was homeless because we were homeless and pregnant. Oh no, we weren't pregnant yet. We hadn't even had sex yet. Melanie goes, Melanie was homeless. And the guy that she lived with before had told her apparently that they had to have sex in order for her to live there, all this stuff. And me and her got in an argument one night because my friend Jen Noss called up and said, hey, she's sleeping with some dude. I'm like, she's at Mike's house, blah, blah, blah. So we go over to this guy, Mike Casagrande's house. I knock on the door. I say, hey, can we talk? What's up? We talk. She tries to kick me in the balls. I catch her foot. I didn't know she had all these trophies for martial arts, but she wasn't as fast as she thought, I guess. So anyway, Mike comes at me, and I had a knife in my pocket. I said, no. And I put it back away. a deterrent, right? I don't want to get in a fight with you. Leave me alone. I'm talking to her. So I left. She went inside. Well, they got together. They didn't. Anyway, me and her got back together somewhere along the way after we got back from Arizona. Oh, so yeah. So we steal that car. We leave it in the state forest. And I'm like, well, I got $126 or something in my bank. And I can't buy us a bus ticket to get to Arizona because I got a friend there. But what I can do is take that car and put $2 gas in it all the way out to Arizona. Sounds like crazy, right? So we stole the car and drove it to Arizona. Talk about Grand Theft Auto, right? Well, I fast forward real quick. 6 years ago, I went to the mechanic and I said, listen, I stole your car. And I don't know what to do about it.
I mean, like, I stole it way back when?
Yeah. He goes, listen.
Why did you do that? You
Because,
felt guilty
I don't know. Because, no, I wanted to do that way before that. But I couldn't get anybody else in trouble. And when you do stuff with other people and you don't want to get them in trouble, what do? So I went back and said, listen, I stole that car. I was with somebody else and I stole it. And I didn't actually, the kid I was with knew where the keys were, knew all this stuff. But what's interesting is the same guy, Mark, that I stole that car with, well, he's the same guy who got a police call on for stealing my mom's car. And he said to me, my mom mapped out this map, and this is how you get to Arizona from here to there. So Melanie and Mark, Melanie's dead, and Mark, I don't know what the hell his problem is, but I really don't care at this point. But I said, listen, I took that car from here to there. And he said, listen, the guy Rob, he's a person, he's been through life too. He said, listen, and I took my son with me, actually, because I did. And maybe because I was like, please don't arrest me. But actually, he was like, listen, we get it. He actually goes, was there a girl involved? I said, yes. He goes, then we know. And he said, if you really feel guilty, it costs us $200 to tow it back. And if you want to make an amends, give the church $200 and we'll call it fine. So I did. I gave him $200. And then my Nissan Quest died at their shop, and I said, you can have that too. And my Volkswagen, I've given away, my Nissan Quest went to that mechanic. My Volkswagen Passat I gave to, my ex-wife's, one of them I donated to, like, blind people or something to get, just donate it. Don't even try to get the tax credit. It takes way too much effort to not get anything. Anyway, I gave away my Volkswagen van to a girl named Nikki. I gave away my Rabbit to my friend Carrie because she had a baby with this guy Tom. I technically gave it to Tom. I gave away my Civic to my niece Caitlin. And none of that actually ever fixed any of my car problems, I don't think, until I went and paid amends and I guess confessed, right? And Rob,
I tried to make things right.
I best I can, right? But she got to get out.
One second, pause here.
And actually, then they hired me. The mechanic hired me to work there. And I took the class on, this is funny stuff too. I took the class on why the emissions class, right? To check emissions in Connecticut. Guess what I found out? Catalytic converters have platinum in them. Guess what was happening at that time? People were cutting them off. Guess what they found out? A mechanic in New Jersey was paying for the platinum.
Well,
weird stuff, right?
That's
weird stuff
today.
Yeah, it is stuff. But so anyway, long story shorter, Mel and I went to Arizona. We came back. That thing with that dude Mike happened. She came back. We got pregnant. About October 1991.
Is this person you married?
No. Well, we were engaged. And if you read the Act of Marriage, I guess technically I have 13 wives. The Jesus at the well answer, right? You know that story? Jesus goes to a well and this woman, she goes, he's talking to him and he goes, well, tell your husband. She goes, well, I don't have a husband. He goes, no. Are you sure? Right? This is, and I guess she had 5 or 6, whatever it is, or 3, whatever it was. So my honest answer is Jesus knows how many women I've been with. Doesn't matter to the rest of the world, but it's 13, I think. And I may have actually been sexually abused a couple times and molested. I was following the Grateful Dead, and I remember being blacked out after a drum circle and picked up by my belt. I don't know what happened after that. My girlfriend Megan at the time says she thought she got abused too. And later that van, I found a bottle of little blue pills, which I don't know what those were, but they could have been roofies at the time. It was kind of a thing that was going on. I don't know what happened to me actually.
But eventually,
it's in Chicago.
Somewhere along the lines, you did get married.
So Melanie and I got pregnant in October of 91, as far as I know. He's mine. That night, I'm walking over the bridge from Glastonbury to Newington, to my mom's, to my dad's, because I didn't live with my mom. She did, and I live with my dad. And she was supposed to be working at Subway and all this other stuff. But I stopped right then the bridge where Glastonbury and Wethersfield meet. And I don't know if you've ever seen It's a Wonderful Life, but I looked straight ahead and there was Hartford. I looked straight south and there was the spire in South Glastonbury and the church sticking up. And I looked over the bridge and then I woke up on the asphalt. I actually don't remember what happened, but that's true. And then I got up as I did and I just kept walking. Because that's what sometimes I'd wake up in my front yard in snow because I would go get drunk in Glastonbury and walk home and throw up. Sometimes I would get up and walk over there and get high. Sometimes I would get over there and work. But anyway, I graduated from high school on my first Father's Day. That's one of my main accomplishments. Me and Melanie did eventually get back together, and Zach, our son, was born. We weren't together when he was born. And we almost lost him at 5 months in utero because I was camping with this guy, Chris, and my mom, and her husband, Joe. And they weren't married at the time, and I think one of his friends, maybe her bridesmaid or something, anyway. We were up at a campground. I don't know if we were in Sterling or we camped a bunch of times. They bought a little camper and stuff. They were just dating and stuff. And we got a call from somehow. My mom had a cordless phone or something, cell phone. Anyway, cordless phone, I think, the big briefcase one. Anyway, we got a call that we had to go right away to Yukon because the placenta was separating from the wall of the uterus. She was laying in bed with a man named Omar. And I almost lost my son, and they pumped him full of steroids and chemicals so that his lungs would be developed if he came out at 5 months pregnant. He is now in a wheelchair. I don't think he had to be. They swear up and down that it's a genetic disorder that one of us has. And I said, well, I don't have it. And I saw you come out of your mother. So unless I'm not the dad, or it's that, goat or whatever it is that they injected you with so that your lungs would be developed, I don't know what to tell you, son. And he still doesn't want to talk to me. And he was born a Jones. He was not born a Capitano. And just recently, my wife of 20 years divorced me, and I went to the Catholic Church to get my paperwork, and they said, well, actually, you're not convalidated. You don't have vows. You're not married to your wife. You never were. You didn't have enough witnesses. I got mad at the priest. I said, there wasn't a Jesus in the box that day. It was me, Father Paul, Father Paul, which is, he was a deacon then, my wife, Jennifer, and the cleaning lady. And we were already married in Cape Cod. And actually that document's not legal either because the address isn't actually accurate. And I actually told her one thing. I said, I want to say I will when we get married. I don't know why, I knew I needed that. And we didn't. We said I do. And Lucian Point was our observant, whatever. And actually we got our license like the week it turned from husband and wife to party A and party B. One day my wife and I are sitting on the couch watching the Royals get wed. Guess what the English Royals wed? Who created the English language, by the way? I will. It's future perfect tense, isn't it? No, I got a 10, but I don't think this is future perfect, but we'll see. My humor's kind of twisted. Gets me through the day. I love my wife. And I don't know if she ever even loved me, but I love her. Isn't that weird?
It's not weird at all.
But to have a second son, well, actually my 20s, right? So after Melanie and I broke up, I ended up with this girl, Megan. We travel around. Long series of events. Melanie says she's going to New York. I go to the state. I said, can you give me the same benefits you're giving her? They said no. I'm like, well, I have a college tuition paid for. My dad worked for a college. I need housing and daycare. They said no. I got a job in a machine shop. I started working. I was homeless for a little while, living in a donut shop. Again. And the whole donut, that guy was amazing. All those people were amazing. I should have been dead a long time ago. My mom and dad, it's just, I love them, but they're human, just like everybody else is human. And somehow I'm still alive. But I didn't even be on all those drugs either, so that's kind of here and there. I sat in the Imagine Circle one night in New York, meditating on acid. This guy walks up to me and goes, I'm thinking my life is over, right? I just walked through Harlem, and I'm sitting in the Imagine Circle. This guy walks up to me, this big black guy, he goes, you got a light? I'm like, yeah. I gave him a book of matches, like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I was like 18 or something. First night I'd ever gone to a bar and had a drink, Lindy's, across the street from Madison Square Garden. My brother and his friends were like, hey, come on, we're going to get high. So I jumped from the building top to the building top in New York. The parking garage at Madison Square Garden, 4th, 5th floor, whatever, it's to the little apartment next door. There's a little balcony sticking out. Whoever that was, I'm sorry if I was on your balcony. And then they get high, and I get high. I smoke a joint. Then they run and jump back off and laugh. And my brother looks at me and goes, now get back. Now I'm high, and I look down, and it's 4, 5, 6 stories up on an apartment building to a parking garage. I must have jumped because fuck, I'm here. Sorry. Spider-Man shit, right? But now I got a Ninja Turtle backpack. Crazy stuff. But I mean, I've put more things into my body than I care to imagine. And when I was a kid, I played with mercury. Who didn't, right? Have you ever see that stuff? It's like liquid and metal at the same time.
You bust open a...
Well, no, the thermometer broke. I didn't break it on purpose.
Okay.
Whatever it was, what am I going to do with it? He was like...
My brother and I opened it on purpose.
Oh, well, I didn't. I just kind of played with it. And then I learned to surf on Duke's Beach in Hawaii. I learned to scuba dive in the Cayman Islands on Grand Cayman. I watched the sunrise from a boat as we pulled into Ocho Rios, Jamaica. I walked up Dunn's Falls. I climbed the face of the top point of Mount Monadnock. Free climb, no preparation, no ropes. And my friend Doug Ward got to the top right as I needed him to pull me up. Yeah, we stopped talking like 30 years ago because he, I don't know, decided to listen to what Melanie said instead of what I said, I guess. I don't really know. And Melanie, as much as I love her, one day looked at me and goes, well, I lie to people to see who I can trust. That doesn't make sense to me, miss, but she's dead now. I love her too. And I learned, I think at this point, my 13 more heights or whatever. And her girl Megan, I just read one of her books and she talks about our abortions as her and the mothers that she was living with. Her name's Megan Stack and she's an author. And we would have had a child named Cassidy. It was aborted. And yeah, my body, my choice is a thing. But if you don't support the entire family in that, it's really not fair. I have 8 children.
Oh, you have 8? Oh, wow.
2 of them are walking around on earth that people can talk to. I lost, I had my son Zach, then Cassidy, boy or girl, I don't know. Because, you know, I was going to the dentist that day, so I didn't go. Our friend Tina thought it would be a good idea for not to use a condom. I said no. She said, eh. I said no. She said, eh. We ended up, you know, going with Tina's idea, which wasn't a great idea, I guess. Then I had my son Gabriel. When I met my wife, finally I stopped going to Dead concerts after that incident in Chicago, when I think I got raped or whatever. And then I went to New York later that summer and they stole my djembe, which is from India. So I'm all right.
How long do you follow the Dead around?
Well, I didn't really. I followed my brother around, actually.
Oh, interesting.
If that makes more sense. But I do like the Dead. They're kind of fun. I went to shows up in New England and stuff, but I went to some Fish shows. I just like live music and dancing too, but I used to go to Max Creek and my first show at Max Creek, I went and I had a camera because, you know, I always have a camera usually. And next thing I know, all these people are like hanging in my house, and next thing I know, the video camera from that event, the videotape's been erased in my house. Weird, right? A bunch of drug addicts worry about getting caught. You know? Anyway.
You still talk to your brother?
I talked to him last night, and he started yelling at me about this and that. And I was like, all right, well, whatever, man. I said, I have to hang up because I don't want to be mad right now. I love you too much to do that. But he's okay. He survived somehow as well. And honestly, he said something very similar. I never thought I'd make it past 20, 25. And when I was 25, actually, I stopped doing whatever and just went to school. I stopped hanging out with my friends, stopped doing it. And I was like, look, I don't need to do pot. I was on this kid, Spencer, gave me a sheet of LSD for my muffler. And I ate it.
The whole sheet?
And, pretty much. And I don't know, they said I was high for like 3 days or something. I was quite different after that for quite some time. And then I went and earned my bachelor's degree after that. And then I went and earned my master's degree after that.
And what subjects? What do you study?
Psychology, history, and concentration in fine art. And then my master's in art therapy and counseling.
And did you do anything with those
I just graduated my master's degree at 50, like 2 years ago, and then I got divorced. And I worked at Wheeler Clinic, which there were some disgusting people, which I think actually might have been involved in what happened in Newtown, which is even more bizarre, but that's like a whole nother story that I don't even understand or care to.
Well, when you were married, you were housed.
Well, when I've always really had something going for me, because except for that, when I first walked out, when I was 16, and I drew a sticker of it one time or something, a sticker idea, and like I walked out with that. Then I got a backpack, then I got a car, then I got a van, then I got a house, then I got a condo, then an apartment, right? And I just keep building. I don't, spiraling, it's interesting. In art therapy, they say the spiral is suicide. Native cultures, that's just time. It's different, right? Very different, in my mind. If you understand a lot of different cultures, which you can't necessarily see what's in here, right? Or what's in here, much harder. Whites to your eyes, right? You save the ammunition. Well, we all got whites in our eyes, especially those really filmy ones. And I don't have cigarettes for them, but I'll have gum. Sometimes I'll sit down and buy them lunch. I try to talk to elders wherever I go. And sometimes the little ones too. But, so my 20s pretty much consisted of getting high for a year, taking a sheet of LSD, and then thinking about it till now. And then I met my wife, I was 26. I had gone to, that was the last time I went to Disney World with my son, actually, 1999, 4th of July. I went, and this girl, Jen Noss, she says, hey, if we're not married by New Year's Eve, blah, 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 want to get married just for the gifts? I'm like, eh. So guess whose roommate my wife was?
Jen's.
Yeah, well, she definitely did not want to marry me. Anyway, and actually, if you ever read the book of marriage, Act of Marriage, it's a weird book. I don't think I could even finish it, but I tried reading it when I was 17. My mom had all kinds of books, Dianetics, Act of Marriage. I don't know if they were hers or his or whose, but both my parents always had books in the house. My dad had bookshelves, and I'd walk around and read the authors and the titles. Jungian, he had a book by Jung for sure. He used one of Timothy Leary's measures for his doctorate. Khalil Gibran. Son of Man, the one he had. The one I had was a prophet. And I got that actually, the guy that owned the van where I think I got raped. This guy, Patrick and Michelle were driving in it. And then me and Megan hopped on and drove around. And he gave me that book. It was for my birthday. I was in St. Louis. And I had told my probation officer I was traveling around the countryside with my mother. Because in my mind, I wouldn't have been doing that if my mom and my son's mother hadn't stuck me in a police car in Glastonbury and told them that I was kidnapping my son. 3 hours in the Glastonbury police station. And they said, well, or 2 hours, whatever it was. They said, well, you can take him. I said, all right. I said, but my mom immediately chimes in, well, he's sick. I said, uh-huh. And the medicine's at my house. I said, all right, well, you take him and I will come and get him. And when I showed up at her house in Middletown, they called the Middletown police and threw me out because she sat with him like this, my son. And Joe, her husband, was leaning, they weren't married yet, was leaning against the counter in front of the knife block, which I think might have something to do with my brother asking if I wanted to have a knife fight in the kitchen and almost losing his hand. Because my brother, as much as I love him, is not always honest, I don't believe. Although my dad, I think one time said to me, he lies, and he believes his lies. And I don't know if that was in relation to my brother or not, but there are people like that. They just believe the lie.
And Manuel, I'm curious, what is your current situation now?
October 8th, I will be divorced for a year. I was with my wife since 1999. And I feel like I've done the best I can to live a good life and do the things I need to do for my family and for myself. And if I die today or yesterday, my son gets the equity in my house. He doesn't want to speak to me for whatever reason. And I'm not really sure what that is.
Well, where are you living?
Right here. And right here. And it's not the first time I've been there, obviously, since 1989. Right. But I've never been on the West Coast, which is why I came here, because after 25 years with my wife, there's not a lot of places that I haven't been already on that place with my wife that don't remind me of her and things that I've lost.
Painful.
And actually, the summer I met her on November 6th, about 10, 15 at night. Well, that summer I had gone to Disney with my son, the older one, in 1999 for 4th of July. When I graduated with my master's at 50, July 20th, I finished the requirements. I didn't get my diploma until afterwards, but July 20th, I got in a car and drove to Florida with my younger son and my wife. We went to the Halcyon, total nerd fest, Star Wars nerd fest, love it. It actually was so amazing to be like in Chewbacca. It was just amazing. And actually, I wasn't even actually present because I was just exhausted. I just finished my thesis. I just finished my requirements for graduation, and I was exhausted from driving there. But the first 3 days was on the Halcyon. And literally we walk up and everybody's like, they're like, so who are you? And I'm like, me. They're like, no, but what planet are you from? And I'm like, Earth. I'm like, I'm just me. I'm here to see this. And my wife was like, she had all the cheat codes, passwords, blah, 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 the skinny to get in and fly through the door and the egg in the gas station, all that stuff. I'm like, listen, I'm just here to experience it. I don't want to know anything about anything. And we're unpacking our luggage. And the robot comes on to check us into our room, and I'm sitting on the bed, whatever. My son's sitting there with me. My wife's looking through 18 things of luggage and doing all these other things to find her clues and all her secrets. And the robot goes, "Why are you here?" And I blurt out, "I'm 50." And she's like, "No, you can only say one thing and only do this. We're supposed to redo our vows and all this stuff." I'm like, "Well, you didn't tell me that," because I had told her I don't want to know anything about the cruise. I don't think that's anything she couldn't have told me though, but it was supposed to be a surprise. Dude, we wanted to renew our wedding vows on the Halcyon. We're divorced less than a year and a half, 2 years later. And it's because I got sexually assaulted getting a massage, because when I was dating Melanie, I got hit by a car and I couldn't join the Marine Corps, which I wanted to. I've tried 4 or 5 times now to enlist. They keep telling me different stories. But now I've resolved it. I can either be a chaplain in the Navy, or I'm gonna go to a fair and do 20 pull-ups and get the hoodie and call it a day. And I realized after years and years of feeling less for not serving in our country that way, I did it. I turned 18 and I signed up for selective service. I'm here in whatever capacity I can serve. That's really the only way I can resolve it for myself. And if I ever serve or don't, my Bible will just have a different column filled out. I found out when I got married that I'm a dad in a Catholic family, which makes me a priest in my household. That's Monsignor Ginty. I found a lot of things in life that don't always make sense, but it's where I am.
Manuel, you new to Seattle?
I've been here since February, and it's been not great. I don't have a single friend here in my mind. And maybe that's because a friend in my heart and a friend in my mind is something very deep, and I don't push people away usually. And I absolutely, after 13 people that I've been with intimately, and women, and attempted relationships. Here's a funny math thing. 13 times 2 is 26. 26 is when your brain is fully developed. And I think if I find 2 women, 26 and 26, with fully developed brains, that might be the next step for me, because it ain't gonna be a man. So maybe 2 women, actually, honestly. Because, when they're not at me, they can hang out and then we can try again. But I really don't know the math on that, but I'm 52, so 26 and 26 is, it's funny, right? I look at ways to maybe not take things so seriously that hurt so much. Or I play music, or I pray. I play drums in the woods when my first son was taken from me. I've been playing piano now. I bought a guitar from my friend Doug, who I haven't seen in 30 years, because we were hiking Franconia Notch. And I got a job in the dorms as a front desk guy. And they said, well, you can do anything you want, you just can't do homework. So I was like, hey, you got a guitar? I bought a chord book and I sat there and just played chords. And I don't know, music has been a friend to me, art has been a friend to me, creativity. I actually have a scar on my hand that's Nike. You know the Nike swoosh? You know the goddess Nike? I knew about her before I knew about the sneakers. I love Greek mythology. I studied since I was a little kid. I love those old claymation movies. And George Lucas, I actually have a great grandmother. I found out her name was Callie Lucas. When I saw Empire Strikes Back, when on Sunday night they released Star Wars worldwide premiere on TV in 1979, 80, what it was, right before Empire came out, they had the making of. And I watched those guys going up and down the California coast, banging on stuff with recorders, right, and a tuning fork. I was like, I want to make movies. That's what I want to do. And on my way out here on the train, I downloaded Procreate Dream, and then somebody stole my iPad. But I've been making soundtracks for it just in case. And my brother started making video games, I guess. He's been doing that stuff for years. We had a TRS-80. We were kids in New Britain. We had a cassette player that was our we didn't even have RAM hard drive, we just had a cassette player, right? And but he always wanted to do that. He got a Commodore 64 when we lived in Glastonbury for Christmas one year, and I got skis. And my parents be silly like that, like twins stuff, man. They're like, well, my dad's like, well, if you're gonna take him skiing, you gotta take him skiing. My mom's like, why? He don't want to go skiing. He wants to sit and play on his computer. You know, so it's, but anyway, I've been like that since forever. My dad, I love working out. I love being in shape, but I don't like sitting in the gym pressing weights. I found a bumper sticker one time that said, at a wellness fair, it's got this dude hanging off a cliff by 2 fingers like this. And it says, "This is my gym, Dad." And I don't know. I love my parents. I love my dad. I love my brother. I love my mother. But at 52, I think it's maybe time I just reevaluate the way I live my life, because at 50, when I got home from Disney, I had a birthday party, my 50th birthday party. Remember This Is Your Life, Charlie Brown? Remember that cartoon? And everybody runs through, right? All the people that have been in Charlie Brown's life. An hour into my 50th birthday party in my backyard, no one showed up. My kid was inside, my wife was inside, and I was sitting there with a fire. I posted like, I'm doing it wrong. I must be doing it wrong. That's all I know. But my 30s was pretty much working. In my 40s, providing for my wife and my son. And 17,000 photos that I lost here a week before my son's birthday because someone stole my phone. Apple might still have them.
Maybe it's in the cloud.
That might. I don't know. I haven't been able to afford it because my wife hasn't paid alimony. She's supposed to be paying me $75 a week. And then I pay her $99, but long story with the math on that. But I'm good up at least until like next week or something, or next, and then it starts.
Tell me
shift.
about the Aurora Commons. How long you been coming here?
My second time.
Yeah.
The first time I came here, I left here, and then I was having a good day, a great day actually, and then all of a sudden my iPhone was gone. And my head just spun around, and I turned into, I don't know. I had an iPhone Red that was stolen, and an iPhone 11, which actually has an amazing camera on it. My iPad, which I bought for school, with my money for school, which I use for work and studying, that was stolen. And that's the one, on the way here, I downloaded Procreate Dream, which is like Procreate but for movies. And actually, I also found out when I downloaded that everything I had created on Procreate, I had the setting on, so I recorded every stroke of every artwork that I'd done. So it records not only the what you do, but what you undo and then back. The whole process is recorded there for you.
The whole history.
So it's amazing. So hopefully I can get some of that back. Also on my iPhone 11, I was extremely upset because I started journaling. Apple came out with an Apple Journal, and I was extremely upset. Hey, that's like a DeLorean, the Tesla. That's kind of neat door. But it's still, does it fly yet? Are we back to the future? We got flying trains. We do though, right? Have you seen those? The train links in the sky? They're satellites. They have links. They can fly through the sky. But I remember actually, this is funny. I was in Glastonbury in Cotton Hollow, which is the reason we moved there. My mom took us there with that guy Steve or whatever, or shortly after. She took us to there and Vernon, Connecticut, and to the parks that were there, and said, "Well, where do you want to live?" And I said, "I want to live in Cotton Hollow," and I think that's where I want to be buried someday. There's a cemetery, Catholic cemetery, St. Anthony's, right next to it. But
well, Emmanuel, what do you want? What do you see for your future?
I don't know. Maybe making movies. Maybe. My dad wants me to be what I want to be, and I think that's an art therapist. And I have an anvil from 1849.
That you're not, obviously, carrying around with you.
Well, it's 500 pounds. No, it's actually only 75 pounds or 80, but I have a lot of things in my house, and I was relieved. My wife sent me an email or text a couple days ago that said that my ex-wife, she's always my wife. She's going to be my wife forever in my heart. She said, we said our vows 4 times. Once in Cape Cod, once at 7 days later in Hawaii, by a shaman. And our witnesses there were the earth and the sky and the ocean. And I don't think that lady's gavel is going to do anything to them. And then the Catholic Church. And then after my son was born, we did a wood friar tuck. But I took a lot of art classes in my undergrad to get through the day, to get through the process of not being allowed to live with my son and all the other things that were happening for various reasons. And then I didn't really know why, but I ended up getting a master's degree in art therapy, which I didn't know existed at the time, right? So my struggles and my unpreparedness and these things that are, like Paul says in the Bible, my weakness is my strength, right? The not knowing, the humanness is getting through life. You know, the people who think they know it all, that have everything planned. Deepak Chopra wrote a book about that, and I think Paul said the same thing. Right? God makes plan, man makes plan. God laughs, right? Why is God laugh? And I honestly, if I live or die another day, it doesn't matter to me. My children know I love them. They may not know all the ins and outs, but in their heart they do. My little one, for example, Gabriel, he was born 8/12. My older one, 4/12. The things you learn in 18 years, right? Buy your wife a king-size bed so she gets plenty of rest. And actually, when they learn to walk, it's kind of fun. If you ever done trampoline work, it's kind of good. It builds your balance, right? But
well, Emmanuel,
my plan for
go ahead.
My plan for today is to get through today.
Yeah.
And I haven't used an illegal drug by choice since 1995, the day Jerry Garcia died. I snorted one thing once at a party in New Britain when I was in college, and I didn't even know what it was, but it was, again, not about the drug, but about the girl who offered it to me. And one time before that same girl, Melissa Gaudet, I said, hey, you want to sleep together? We were watching Boxing Helena, which is a very weird movie to ask that question to, but there we were. And she's like, I'm going to throw up. So when she came up and said, hey, do you want to snort this? I was like, maybe this is my shot. But it wasn't. It was just she wanted to get rid of some drugs or something. And I'm mad about that because she's got my Atari 2600 jacket, which actually wasn't mine. And I gave it to a girl named Charlene who worked at the donut shop, who incidentally asked me if we want to do something. And I said, well, no, I kind of think you like a sister. And then her friend Brandy was kind of more my type. You know, you ever have one of those girls in your life you just like a sister? Because it's either a sister or a mother, right?
Of course.
And a sister is, a sister until she becomes a mother. And we know how that happens, right? Because she's not a sister.
I must say, you have an immaculate memory.
Well,
it's like you're remembering all these names. It's impressive, very impressive.
It's a Rolodex. Well, you know what's crazy? In high school, I can remember 100 phone numbers. And then I started typing them up, and I stopped doing that with my brain. You know what I mean? And a long time ago, I think it was when the state took me to court after my son's mother, Melanie, and I got back together. They said, well, you got to get a DNA test so we know who to send the bill to. And somewhere around there, I said, I'd ask the spirit to speak through me. And I went to court. I don't remember what I said, but I said, basically, listen, I don't care what my dad says, my father, I don't care who any says. She says he's mine. He's mine. Send me the bill. I still don't know if he's my son, DNA-wise. And actually, he doesn't think he is, for whatever reason, my son, because he told me that he has someone else in that spot in his head. I said, okay. But I love you. And Jack, I love you. And I love you, Gabriel. And Melanie, and Megan, and Jen, and Julie, too.
Manuel, one last question before we wrap up. Is there anything you would want the people of Seattle to know?
Please stop stealing my things. I would like my guitar and my toys back. I don't mind sharing, and I have way more toys that you would have got to play with if you didn't steal the ones I already had brought with me. This is just the stuff I had in my car that I couldn't carry. And the stuff that was in my car, that's still my son's house. I got a whole house full of stuff. I want to relocate here. I don't know what I want to relocate anywhere at this point, but this seemed like an okay spot. And I was invited here. And I was invited to stay at the Gospel Mission. And they stole things from me and lied about it. I was invited to go to the church in Green Lake, to the library to play piano, and I did. And I went across the street and they invited me to the cathedral. And I went to the cathedral and they stole from me. And then I went to Cal Anderson Park one day to use the restroom, and I sat down because I heard music was going to be there. And I got assaulted by both sides. And then I woke up and my guitar was still. And it might be because I reported drug dealers to the DEA back in 2001, when I got a job at a gas station with this guy, Steve Schiavone. And he was a nice enough guy, but he was actually friends with Spencer, the kid who gave me that LSD. And he worked there for a while. I guess apparently Spencer's dead. But I tried reaching out to him because when we were in high school together, actually I made a movie together with him about there was a Grateful Dead video of the woods behind his house getting cut down. He was upset about it anyway. But it got us through high school. But so I worked for this guy, Steve, and Steve was great. And I met Jen, my wife, and I was driving through. We bought a Blazer from Mr. Parsons, and we were driving through Newington, and somebody threw a rock at the window that my wife was in the passenger seat. And somebody threw a rock through the window as we were driving in Newington. And Newington has a total history of the shit not being happening. This woman, Miss Morabito, hit me with her car. And it was so fucked up because her kids hung out with the cops' kids across the street. We didn't even bother calling the police. We were on vacation in Florida one time. A BB something blew our window in. And they said, well, it's thermodynamics and the heat blew it out. But all the glass was in the car. And that doesn't actually happen. Apparently the kids across the street had a BB gun. My dad called the police one day. Their dad came home, threw it in the trunk and drove away, and then the police showed up. So I'm not a stranger to having fear, but I don't have it anymore. And I'm also not a stranger to pain and suffering, and I won't have that forever.
Yeah. Hopefully none of us will.
Well,
Emmanuel, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Yes, I would like to say one thing.
Oh, go for it.
I know I'm a lot. I know most people are. I also know I'm worth it, and I also know that everyone else is too.
Amen to that.
Amen. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. You're welcome.
Bless you.
Yeah. Bentley, I have photos for you. They're in the thing.
That's more than a minute.